Welcome back. Just had to put on my jacket. It's a fake fur because it's suddenly very cold in Melbourne. I'll just check I've got my key so that I can get around. Oh, the sun's out. Just one moment. Let me pop on some sunscreen because I think it's hitting close to 32 degrees and fine and sunny now. What I've just given you is some tips into life in Melbourne. So hopefully you'll be joining us on campus. And one of the things so characteristic about our city is known as 4 seasons in one day. So my advice is that pack and wear layers, because to be honest, you could wake up in the morning and it's raining and it's cold. And by lunchtime, it's sunny and a perfect day, which I call hopeful, because if you don't like the weather in the morning, it could be even better later. And as you can see here, I've got my rain jacket for if that happens, my fur for the cold, and my sunscreen. It won't be that erratic. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but that's one of the great things. And for the fashion lovers, you'll have fun layering up. But I'm so thrilled to introduce to you Melbourne. There's a reason that for 7 years running, we're the world's most livable city. We have more restaurants per person than any other country in the entire world or city. And we're currently number 2, but we're edging our way back. And I'm sure that by the time you're here, you can help us be number 1 again. We're also known as the sports capital of Australia. You can go to the Grand Prix. Very soon, we're about to see the Australian Open, where I hope that Nick Kyrgios and Ash Barty win, but maybe you'll all be barracking for someone else in your own countries. But either way, we're super excited. You can go to the Bells Beach Pro and see some surfing, something that's very Australian as well, and all sorts of things, including the Grand Prix. You can also catch a game of AFL maybe. But overall, the best thing about Melbourne is the music, the arts, and the food. Because we're a multicultural country, you can get food from absolutely anywhere. So you may have visited, you may not have, but very soon you will be with us on campus. And you might want to know a bit more about where you might be living. What kinds of accommodation are available? What's life like in Melbourne? So I'm pretty thrilled that my next guests are actually going to tell you about those opportunities and give you a glimpse into their real life at the University of Melbourne. So my next guest is Cameron Bestwick, or Cam. Cam is the Manager of Student Accommodation at the University of Melbourne. Welcome, Cam. Good to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Zoe.
I'm going to hand over to you in your capable hands while I go away and I put my coat back on and get my key card ready for my transport around the city. Over to you, Cam.
Amazing. Thank you. So everybody, as Zoe has said, when you do come to Melbourne, you will no doubt be wanting to get the most out of campus life. And I think one of the ways that you can do that is by living at the campus. And so what I'll do is I'm going to take you through a quick presentation that I would like to call accommodation in pictures, because it's mostly just pictures of the different options that you have on the campus. Let me fire that one up. Okay, so let's just jump straight in. The first picture that I've got for you, which is one that we've sort of come up with in the university's accommodation office, is just a little bit of a map of the territory. It doesn't look like a map, but this should help you sort of look at the different styles of accommodation and be able to work out which one is going to be the best for you. So there are a few different types of accommodation that you can look into, and they have different things to offer. So I thought I would just start by looking at what are the different styles and how you can sort of understand how they might be good or maybe not the option for you. I've also got on the side there, you can see a QR code. So you can follow that to our website, which will show you a lot more detailed information than this. This is just the sort of basic introduction. And from there, you can see all sorts of things like the different features of the buildings, the different room types. You can take 3D video tours of some of the rooms and everything. And so as we come back towards the end of this segment, I'll put that QR code back up on the screen so that you can follow that link and keep exploring. Okay, so what are these 4 options? You can see there that we've sort of divided things up into these 4 on this grid. I may just start with the bottom half, which is off campus, and the bottom left being private rentals. So what we mean by that is just simply that like anyone who's not necessarily a student at the University of Melbourne, they can go and rent a house or an apartment, or perhaps a little more likely a room in a house or a room in an apartment with some other people, just anywhere in Melbourne. And so the big advantage of this one is that you would get to choose where you're living in terms of where you are in the city. So maybe if you really like the beach, you can live right near the beach, and that's really great. But it also, on the other hand, does sort of mean that you would have to commute into the campus to go to classes or to engage in any of the extracurricular activities. Whereas if you live on the campus, then those things are sort of always nearby and around you and at your fingertips, and it just makes life at the university a little bit more spontaneous and can open you up to those extra opportunities. And the other thing that I'll just mention about living off campus versus on campus that you might not have considered yet is that if you were living in an apartment building off the campus and some of your neighbours were making a lot of noise or something like that in the lead up to your exams, then there's not too much you can do about it except sort of find some internal solution where you try to block out the noise in your own mind. Whereas if you live on the campus, because we want them to be really educational environments, so for example, if you lived in the university accommodation, there are a few extra sort of rules where maybe during the lead up to exam period, we would set limits or curfews where there'd be a time of in the evening where everyone's got to sort of be quiet so that everybody else can focus and get lots of sleep and get lots of good quality study time in. So that's private rentals, one option, but is one where you'll have to do a bit of research on your own. The other off-campus one, homestays, is it's not as common. It's not a super common choice among the students, but it is one that suits some people really well. And so that is where you would live more like with a family who has a spare room in their house. And so you would sort of rent the room off the family, and then they might usually also provide some meals or even laundry or things like that. It can sort of vary in each case. And so if homestay sounds like something that's sort of interesting to you, then you can use our website a little bit, and you can use Google, and you can go and investigate that option. But I'm also biased, so I definitely think that living on campus is one of the most enriching things that you can do, and it has so much to offer. If you are interested in living on campus, there are 2 sort of different styles of accommodation. One of them is called residential colleges. So these are what I would say, these are an option if you are not so interested in just casually being a member of like a hall of residence on campus. If you want to be absolutely all in and you want to get deeply involved, and you want to really live university and sort of make sure that all the time that you're doing something that's involved with university, whether it's sort of sport, tutoring and developing your academic skills or networking or something like that, colleges have a lot to offer. I'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment, but those ones are called the all-in option, where there's a lot of services available, and the expectation is that you are there wanting to use all of them. And then there's university accommodation, which is maybe the main one that I'll talk about. And so you are a pretty lucky group of students in the sense that a few years ago, the university just decided that it would like to sort of design some accommodation specifically for its own students, and develop a few more accommodation options that were end-to-end university and that were designed by the university and run by the university, to make sure it's like the full University of Melbourne experience. And so that is this new category of accommodation called university accommodation, and there's a few options in that category as well that I will talk about. Those are typically not catered, and they're a little bit more being able to opt in to as many activities as you want and build your own experience. So I'll move on from this map, but as I said, I'll come back to this towards the end so that you can follow that link if you need to ask any more questions. Before I do go any further, I might also just say, if you do have questions about accommodation, don't wait until the end of this segment to ask them. Just pop them straight in the Q&A tool so that we can pick those up and have a look at them and maybe ask those to two students that we have with us who will be joining me in a moment. So here are some pictures of the accommodation. We have got a large variety of room types. So these are all like in an apartment or in a bedroom. And these are the university accommodation rooms. So you can see that they're super modern. As I said, the university designed these buildings with its own students in mind. And so they are set up for you to be able to study in them for prolonged periods of time. And they are also designed to be really social, so that if you are living in a share room, or even if you're living on your own, that you're kind of always being encouraged to go out and make friends or hang out with your roommates, and just making sure that they're really interactive and that's really easy to do, to be a social creature and to have lots of fun and make lots of new friends. So there are lots of different room types. I can't go through them all, but they're on our website with those 3D tours, as I mentioned. And so you can go and have a look at those, and different buildings have sort of different room types as well. We also have a lot of different common spaces. That is the main, the big sort of drawcard feature that we think we have to offer. So all of our buildings just have lots and lots of different communal areas that vary a lot in terms of the use. So most of our buildings have a gym built in. They'll have lots of study spaces, and even those study spaces will vary. So those will have there'll be quiet study areas where there's sort of no talking. There'll be group work areas where you can bring your other students along or in a group assignment together and work on the assignment together. There are sort of casual, like cafe style study areas, and those can be on the roof of a sort of downtown skyscraper, if you can see the one in the bottom middle, which is at Lincoln House. And we also run lots of events in a program that we call the Residential Life Program. So we do have a team of highly trained educators who work in the residence, and their job is to make sure that you're successful. So they offer any support that you need, and then they put together lots of events, and those events range from developing your sort of career, like maybe resume workshops and these kinds of things, all the way through to exploring Melbourne cooking classes, make sure you know how to cook. If you are in a self-catered residence, and to list those would sort of go on for a long time. There are examples on the website, and we will ask some residents, current residents that we have with us in a moment, what some of those events are. In terms of the residential colleges, like I mentioned, there is they offer the all-in experience where you can play lots of sports, you know, maybe 10 plus sports for the college against other colleges through the year. They'll have an arts culture competition. There is a big alumni network. These are often also held in their beautiful sort of heritage buildings and everything. And there's an expectation that you participate in the academic program. So have your, like, basically participate in tutoring, so receive tutoring, and also like guest speakers and all that sort of thing. So these are a really great option in terms of everything being bundled up and everything being together, and then you just launching yourself into what the community has to offer. So there are 10 colleges. I would definitely recommend sort of doing your research and going exploring what the 10 are, and again, sort of trying to pick which one is best for you. And so you can find those also from our website. And then if neither of those sound ideal, or if you're sort of thinking that your degree might take you out to a regional campus, look, there are other options. I did mention the private rentals, so just living off campus, that is a possibility. There are also some like private companies that have built buildings, student accommodation that is specifically designed for students as well, just by those companies. And one such example of those is Student Village Melbourne, which is very close to the campus, maybe a 3-4 minute walk, and has some similar features in terms of those common facilities and everything. And then on regional campuses of the university, so if you do think your degree is going to take you out to a regional campus, all I would say at this stage is that's probably not going to happen in your first year of study or anything like that. And before you go out to any of these campuses, where there is some accommodation available, your faculty will talk you through the whole process, and they'll give you lots of information about what the options are and how to access them, if and when that does happen. And here we go, back to the link. So you can follow that link to learn a little bit more. And as I said, there are lots of different options. And the main thing that we have tried to do as a university is make sure that there is something for everyone. So we are still building lots of buildings, and one or two of them are just new and will be opening this year. And so as that keeps happening, there'll be lots of different options. And so we have tried to create different buildings that appeal to different people. So, for example, we have a new one coming this year that's very exciting. It's called Little Hall. It is going to be truly unique and groundbreaking, and the first of its kind in Australia. And so it's going to be a very, very big, very hyper modern student accommodation facility. It's going to have, the gym and cinema rooms and all sorts of fantastic spaces. And then it's going to have a very similar academic program to a college, as I just described. So you could almost get the best of both worlds. And there'll be a team of top flight academics who are on site and dedicated to the hall to make sure that it's got a really stimulating intellectual culture. And then on the other hand, we have some buildings like Uni Lodge Lincoln House, which is a collaboration between the university and another building, which is your sort of urban, downtown, high rise. It's for people who maybe want to be outside the hall all the time, and who want to be sort of doing everything that Melbourne City has to offer and outside their room. Even within that building, it has the most common spaces and the most impressive ones that I've ever seen. There's almost a whole floor sort of dedicated to recreation and games and stuff. And then there's a whole other huge area that's got like a big communal kitchen, much like the TV show MasterChef, if you've seen that one. And then another really popular undergraduate option, which our two guest students are from today. So I may just welcome Yuva and Ting Yi to come onto the screen. Hi guys, welcome.
Hi. Hi.
And so you are both current residents of Lisa Belair House, which is a sort of beautiful building just in between the campus and the thriving student district of Brunswick, and wedged just in between two massive parks. Is that right?
Yes, that is.
And so I suppose it must have been nice, especially this year, to have been close to the CBD, but feel like you're not in the city at all and you're amongst nature.
Yeah, it was a little sad once we got into lockdown, because before we went into lockdown, we could easily go to the city. The campus is quite literally 3 or 4 tram stops away, so I'd only have to wake up like 30 minutes before my class and then rush out. So it's really convenient if you're talking about distances. And when it comes to restaurants and stuff, it's also very near.
Awesome. And can I also just ask, so you've both been in Lisa Belair House for 1 year.
Yes.
And maybe we'll just do some quick introductions. So maybe if you can just each tell me, Yuva, starting with you, what you're studying, and maybe what has been like a sort of challenge of moving to a new city that you've overcome, or that living at Lisa Belair House has helped you with.
Yeah, sure. So I'm currently doing the Bachelor of Commerce, Accounting and Finance, and I'm from Malaysia. So coming here, I definitely did have a lot of nervous energy. I was wondering if I would have trouble fitting in, but I think living at the uni accommodation definitely helped with that, because there were a lot of other international students here as well. It was super easy to make friends, and you also get to meet a lot of students from other bachelors. So in that sense, you not only make friends in your own bachelor through your Zoom classes, but you also get to widen your connections in that sense. I think Lisa Belair House has helped me a lot with their Are You OK program, because every now and then they call in, check in on you. And if you ever need someone to talk to, they're always there for you. They also have a lot of programs like movie nights, beach days, and, carnivals and stuff, with just gives you a lot of opportunities to mingle around with the other people in the building. Yeah.
Awesome. So you think that everyone who's living there is in the same position as you? They're not from Melbourne, and you can explore it and figure it out together?
Yeah. And even if they're from Australia itself, most of them are from different states, Queensland and all. So they also do feel a bit of homesickness and stuff. So it's quite easy to relate to everyone here because we're practically in the same boat, you know?
Excellent. And I can just throw in a fun managerial fact that Lisa Belair House had 60 something nationalities at the start of 2020 there when you would have moved in. So definitely there's going to be a like-minded person nearby. And Ting Yi, how have you found sort of adjusting to living at Melbourne and living on the campus, and any sort of unexpected delight that you found in terms of moving to Melbourne or moving to the campus?
It was alright, but like moving into university, like the university accommodation, like the receptionist and the building help us a lot. Like whenever we need help for like transportation, we could just pop up at the reception and ask. If it's out of office hour, then the residential advisor is always on call. And if you really need anything, they will help you out. So as an international student, it actually really helpful. I'm really grateful for that.
And yeah, so there's an excellent point that all our undergraduate facilities are staffed 24/7. And so I just want to stress test one of your claims there though. So if someone arrives at 2 a.m. and they don't know where to go and maybe buy a snack, will they be able to find someone who can help them on that first day?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, RA is always on call. Yeah. So the RAs they have their phone with them the entire night.
Yeah.
So if you ever feel like you're going through a rough time, even if it's 4 o'clock in the morning, just ring them up and they'll be there for you.
Excellent. Excellent. And we should also ask, because you mentioned making friends that you might not have normally made if you were off campus and left to your own devices. So the two of you are roommates and I hope also best friends. Is that an unexpected friendship, but one that you don't regret?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We are actually from the same country,
Yeah,
but
we're from Malaysia.
living together definitely brought us a whole lot closer, and like a lot of memories were made. Even though we have been in lockdown for the entire year, we've made a lot of great memories here together.
Excellent. And
Brilliant. I want to get in on the questions, Cam. That's fantastic. We like the idea about universities coming and making memory. We have so many questions coming through from our audience all throughout the world. And I've got a question for you, Cam. It's coming through thick and fast in chat. And students are keen to know that because they can't come to Australia right now and say they're going to be at University Lodge or any of the other accommodation, when do they have to start paying?
So you don't pay until you arrive. And so when you book in, you'll be given like a set of booking dates. And so you'll have a start and an end date on it. And that start date will be set for the date that we expect that you're going to arrive. And then that'll be the first day that you can access the room. And that's the first day that you would pay from. So when you go to book with us, at the moment, because semester hasn't started, we have a no travel, no stress policy where if people book and then it turns out that they can't come because of a sort of government related reason, then we would give them the opportunity to suspend and to sort of delay that move in or to terminate and rebook later. And there's no cost to that. Later on, it'll be a little bit more individualized. So as you go to book through the, say, the middle of the year, we'll just work out an individual plan with you.
Brilliant. So that I love that. No travel, no stress. And I think that that's a big question that's coming through, but special shout out to Jason who sent that through. We've got another one from Sammy who's out there, and Sammy would like to know, does every student that applies for a place with Melbourne accommodation, can they actually get a place in one of our accommodations?
The short answer is yes. I'll draw a quick little distinction between university accommodation and residential colleges. So residential colleges tend to be a little bit smaller and they're also selective. That doesn't mean that you won't get in. It just means you have to apply and usually might have to sit an interview and something like that to make sure that you're a fit with the community. For the university accommodation, it's actually the opposite. So the university has another policy that we call the Melbourne Accommodation Guarantee. And what that means is that if you go to our website and you apply for university accommodation, when you hit submit, you have secured your accommodation. So once you've submitted your application, we guarantee that we will offer you a room in university accommodation. If we've run out of rooms, we'll go find a suitable, similar one from one of our partners, and we'll offer you that. So you'll always get an offer of accommodation under that guarantee.
Wonderful. So Cam and his team will sort you out and make sure that you're somewhere close and you can have the kind of lifestyle that we've seen from Ting and Yuva. I've got one final question for you. I'm going to go back down to you. Do you want to give us a quick show around your apartment?
100%.
Be careful. We'll hope that they've cleaned.
So we've actually chosen to sit upstairs in like level 10, which is our favorite hangout place. We've been spending almost every night here, and this is why.
This is the view you get while you're studying. I'm gonna bring you closer to the view. That is Melbourne CBD itself. This is the view you get while you're studying.
And if you look at the back here, there's a television where you have Netflix and all sorts of TV channels as well. If you just want to come up and have a fun time with your friends, there's a ping pong table. And over there, there's also like a massive study area that goes all the way to the back. And this is just a common area on level 10. There are a few other common areas as well, including the rooftop where you can have barbecues. There's also a massive kitchen downstairs if you want to cook a big dinner with all your friends. That's happened a lot of times. So yeah, just some of the fun spots.
It looks amazing. And I've heard that there's even a performance space in there where there's a piano that you can practice.
Yes.
And there's a gym. It's fantastic.
The gym is fantastic, and the piano room as well. It is soundproof, so you can go in there and sing your hearts out with your friends. It's a wonderful time.
Brilliant. So it doesn't matter if you can sing or can't sing. Everyone is welcome. It sounds like a wonderful home away from home. Thank you so much for giving us a glimpse into your lives. Thanks, Cam, for showing us all the different options. And remember, again, we'll support you and help you find your way at the University of Melbourne. So could you please thank my wonderful guests talking to you about life and living in Melbourne at the University of Melbourne, Cam Bestwick and Yuva and Ting. Thanks so much. Put your hands together. They can't hear you, but they'll feel your appreciation. Thanks so much.